Good evening, Foster friends and family. Today we're coming from Foster Memorial Church at 1791 Wilbraham Road. Myself, Jerry, and Judy here will be giving you a poetic garden tour. So I'm going to start out with my first poem is A Garden Is. A garden is a lovely place where seeds burst through the sod. A garden is a partnership between two hands and God. A garden is a restful place where gentle breezes flow. A family of growing things where souls can also grow.
We're starting in this area here. This is a park bench that somebody donated to us, and we really like it. Sometimes we take our rest here when we're gardening. Right here, we have one of our favorites. They're impatiens on this heavy box. This is the third year that we have put these here, and they always do well every summer here. Over here, we have a hanging plant with moss, and these are ivies that we dug up behind our shed out in the parking lot, and we're hoping that they will grow year after year and start hanging down. Now I'm going to bring you over to the side over here where we do a lot of our work. At the beginning of the season, early on in the spring, we plant seeds and we get our perennials all set, and we lay 23 flower pots along the brick wall with all marigolds and zinnia seeds. Also, this area we call the garden hospital. A few of the plants, we plant them, we put them in the spots that they want to go to, and then sometimes they're not feeling well, so they have to come into the garden hospital, and we have to take tender, loving care with them. And one of them is this tomato plant that was growing, and we had to cut it down to just that much, and now it's growing again. The other plants that were in the garden hospital are all back in their spots. Over here we have a birdhouse in a wooden box that we place in there, and we're hoping that some year the little sparrow birds maybe want to make a nest in there. Somebody gave us that birdhouse and it was a different color, so we painted it to match the yellow flowers. Right here are two large rows of Sharons that actually had to be pruned down by some of the guys in the church, and they came all the way out to here. So they're really blossoming now because they had a good trim. And up here on our handicap, we have a flower pot for the people that have to enter into the handicap doorway. These are purple flowers with a little white stand. We thought that this would be very welcoming for our friends.
This poem is entitled Little Seed. I plant a little seed in the ground. Out comes the sun big and round. Down come the raindrops soft and slow. Up comes a flower, grow, grow, grow. The plant we have here, when we got this stand on one of our little road trips, and we painted the stand, and we decided that our pastor loves the color red, so we decided that we would plant some red flowers, that when she's coming in the door, it'd be just a little welcome.
So right here, we have a bunch of perennials, and what we had to do was 2 or 3 years ago, we had a lot of construction and a lot of digging up here. So we had to quickly take the perennials and move them to the front in all different gardens. And we also had some annuals, and we moved those. So this year, fingers crossed, we won't have to have any more construction done here. We took a lot of the perennials and moved them back here. We did leave an area that if needed be, they need to dig up, they can dig up over there. But all these perennials have been transplanted from here to the front, from the front back to their home.
This poem is entitled A Beauty to Behold. Gardens, a beauty to behold. Flowers that come from the deep in the soil unfold. The colors of pink, lavender, and yellow, the beauty has stopped many a fellow. Peace and serenity are what it brings. The garden even makes the birds sing. Walking through the garden in bloom can help take away any gloom.
Right here we have 2 flower pots on each side of the sidewalk. These flowers we planted by seed. The rest are all annuals. Over here we have a bunch of perennial sunflowers that have buds on them and soon will be blooming. Down here we have our black-eyed Susans, which are perennials and they multiply as the years go on. Over here we have a nice lavender plant that started out as a little baby and now it's that big. These zinnias we also planted by seed. They were planted over there where I pointed out where we planted all the seed pots along the church in the springtime. The marigolds, and then we have some cosmos that are soon to be blooming. Those were planted by seed. And then we have the coleuses and some other annuals that are in here. Over here we have this big flower pot and we didn't really know what we're going to do, so we decided we'll try some New Guinea plants last year and they did very well and we're doing it again this year. Many of these flowers over here we planted by seed and a few are just annuals. Right here we have a row of sedum which started 2 years ago, 3 little plants, and we keep on making them go all along here. And this is one of the sunflowers that our God Time children started by seed, and then they planted them inside. We nurtured them for about a month, and then we planted them all in the garden, soon to be flowering also.
This poem is entitled Plant the Seeds. Let's plant the seeds, they said. So we took the seeds and spread. For there is hope in each little grain to bring a harvest we can gain. The same is true for life today, what we nurture and cultivate along the way. Expectations of results arise each day. It matters what we do and say.
About 4 or 5 years ago, we started planting some flowers in this tree stump, and then we just kept on adding some things. Right here we have an angel. Pastor Barbara had given us an angel, but then somebody probably felt the need that they needed an angel for themselves, and they took the angel. We have now replaced it, and she is staying there, and we hope she stays there. Here's some more flowers that can stand a lot of the sun, and this area gets sun almost all day long, and they are very low maintenance, and we love it. This flower pot somebody had donated to us who's no longer with us, so we plant this flower for her every year. This is added this year. We have flower pots all around here because we were just thinking the tree needed a little bit of color. And if you do recall, I talked to you about the garden hospital. This flower pot was very sad looking, and it went into the garden hospital, and we feel as if it's doing pretty well now.
This is my garden. I'll plant it with care. Here are the seeds I'll plant in there. The sun will shine, the rain will fall. The seeds will sprout and grow up tall.
This garden we call the rustic garden. And for a couple years, we were having issues growing a lot of the flowers in the ground, so we have a lot of flower pots. This little red wagon here we found along the side of the street, and many of our other things, the tables and the shelves and all, we have picked them up along the way on the curbs when we're walking or if we're going somewhere, and we do a quick UE and we pick up things. Everything that the plants are on, we really have not bought anything. We find them along the curb or at a tag sale for a very, very good price. We took a bunch of rocks and painted them yellow and then left one dark in honoring and praying for Ukraine. And these begonias throughout this garden are from our little children from God's time. When they had Children's Sunday, they planted the begonias and had some left over and donated them to the gardens. If you look all the way down there, there are 2 flower pots that our friend Dick Pond used to take care of. It started to get to be too much for him, so we decided that we would take over and we plant the flowers there and we tend to the 2 flower pots in the Lion Club's little island down there. And over here we have our rocks with the peace sign. Joe Rosati helped us get these from a quarry. This garden and the garden over there where we have the heart, it didn't do very well for many, many years. So we decided to take up all the weeds, and then we put some black tarp down, and then we put the mulch on top of it, and then put the rocks on it that Joe Rosati got us, and we put them down here. Also, we just had to redo the mulch this year. It lasted a couple years. And I would like to point out that every winter we have to take the rocks down and put them in buckets and put them in our shed, because when the plows come, sometimes they go up and over, and they didn't want to ruin the rocks, so we put them in the shed for the winter, and then they come back out every spring. And this year we added these 2 flower pots on each side of the sidewalk to give some color as you're walking into the church. And here are our 2 flower pots. They're our very first 2 flower pots. And again, I would like to point out that we do put autumn flowers and leaves and decorations in them, and then we change them over to Christmas decorations. Jerry and I go into the woods and we clip the pines and the princess pine or whatever else we see that looks like Christmas and put them into the pots.
Love of God in a flower. You can see the love of God in every flower made, designed with such detail, beauty in every blade. You can see the love of God in so many different flowers given, beauty that surrounds us. Just stop and look at the garden. You can see the love of God in the rose and daisy too, made to remind us all that God's love is very true.
Right here, we have our meditation garden. Before the pandemic, Pastor Barbara mentioned that she would like to have a meditation garden. Only mentioned it once. We were on it. So during the pandemic time, Jerry and I worked outside when nobody could go inside, and we created a small meditation garden. This cross, if you all remember, we had a pumpkin patch for several years, and we also built scarecrows. This cross was the frame of the body of the scarecrow. So we took it and we let it weathered, and we put it in the garden. Right here, we have a petunia in a white flower pot that Dick Pond gave us the flower stand. So we dedicate our petunia every year to Dick Pond. We have a miniature fuchsia plant because one day we noticed a hummingbird come. So we decided, oh, maybe it'll come again. So we got a small fuchsia plant and planted all these by seed with some of the annuals and perennials. So now we see butterflies and bees flying amongst here with a few of the hummingbirds. Over here, we have a flower pot with a succulent and some dishes, broken flower pot of ours, some tools, rustic nail that I found on the sidewalk over there, a piece of the concrete of our church when we had a lot of construction going on downstairs, and a shovel that broke when we were gardening. One of our friends in church sent us a picture and said that she believed that we could do this, and we did. And here is a cricket, which is, the sign is abundance in all areas of life. Right here we have two shelves that we picked up along the side of the curbs, and some of the dishes were on the curb. Some of them are from tag sales that we were picking up, and we glued some dishes in the way back. And here is one of our favorite hanging plants doing very well in its corner. These vines started growing over and onto the grass, so we had to start training them up and about. So when the mower comes, we didn't want the vines to get mowed. These two hanging plants, they are also begonias from our God Time children. And then around the corner of the tree, we have some marigolds that we put there in case we have to fill in spots. And over here on each side of the sidewalk are two of our favorite flower plants also, and the coleus and the creeping jenny. The creeping jenny stays in all year round. They are a perennial, so they'll come back next spring, and we just add the coleus. And down here, these two gardens are our hosta gardens on each side of the bushes, and they are pretty self-sufficient. They do not take a lot of care.
The poem is entitled 5 Little Seeds. 5 little seeds, 5 little seeds. 3 will make flowers and 2 will make weeds. Under the leaves and under the sun, 5 little seeds are waiting to grow. Out comes the sun, down comes the shower. and up comes 3 pretty pink flowers. Out comes the sun that every plant needs, and up come 2 funny old weeds.
And over here, we got the idea from when we went on a tour with the Springfield Garden Club. These are all perennials that are on a bench. So we keep them here over the winter, and then they come back up. And on each side of here, we have the boxwood, and that we put in some white twigs that we painted that we also use in the Christmas decor in the flower pots. And then we picked up this table also along the walk. And then down here, we got these at the lily pond in Forest Park, on the edge of the lily pond. After they bloomed, we picked them up at the end of the season.
So on behalf of myself, Judy, and Jamie, our videographer, we would like to thank you for coming along on this garden tour, and we hope that you enjoy gardening as much as we do. So thanks again for viewing, and don't forget to hit the like button. So thanks again. Bye now.